Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are at the Olivet City Hall at the 1140 Dillman Road, and tonight it is February 25th, 2025, and we are here at the City Council, ready to open up the City Council meeting at February 25th. Madam Clerk, please do roll.
Mayor Waldman,
I am here.
Chairman Pro Tem Knox,
Here.
Councilmember Clark,
Here.
Councilmember Weil,
Here. All right, thank you very much. The next thing on the item is communications, and the first thing that we have under communications is swearing in Olivet's newest Olivet City Council member, Michael Solomonov. Michael, welcome. Come get sworn in by the city clerk. And then you will take your seat up here in the dais. Over there. All right.
Missy, we're gonna have to. Wait, nope.
Yeah, turn so pictures can be taken that way. You-
I, Mike Salmonov,
solemnly swear that I possess
do solemnly swear that I possess
all the qualifications
all the qualifications
prescribed by law
for a council member,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Missouri,
and the state of Missouri,
the provisions of all laws of the state of Missouri
the provisions and state laws of the state of Missouri
affecting cities,
affecting cities,
and the ordinances of the city of Olivet,
and the ordinances of the city of Olivet.
that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office.
And I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office.
Welcome. Are there any pictures you want to take directly with your family, or you're okay?
No.
Come
Now you
on.
gotta have your picture taken.
There we go.
We'll regret it.
All right, we're gonna have the police officer come up. Your family's gonna be in front of the sign, and we're gonna get out of the way. Welcome aboard. Next, we have the swearing in of police officer Carlos Vega. All right, let me give a little bit about Carlos Vega. He comes from Southern California. Oh, those sunny, sunny places. And he has lived in St. Louis area for the past 8 years. He was recently married to his incredibly supportive wife, another Tammy. Tammy, hello, wherever you may be. Hi. Carlos brings 4.5 years of corrections experience to his new role with the Olivet Police Department. Carlos is a recent graduate at Jefferson College, good junior college, good college, Law Enforcement Academy, and is eager to begin this new chapter in his career. Carlos is very excited to serve and contribute to the safety and well-being of the Olivet community, and he looks forward to making a positive impact on the citizens of Olivet. Appreciate that. All right. I'm going to have you raise your right hand, sir. I'll go slow.
All right.
I, Carlos Vega, do solemnly swear
I, Carlos Vega, do solemnly swear
that I possess all the qualifications
that I possess all the qualifications
to serve as police officer for the city of Olivet,
to serve as police officer for the city of Olivet,
St. Louis County, Missouri,
St. Louis County, Missouri.
and that I will support the Constitution of the United
I will
States
support the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Missouri,
and the state of Missouri,
and the charter and ordinances of the city of Olivet,
and the charter and ordinances of the city of Olivet,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of this office
of this office
by abiding by the law enforcement code of ethics.
by abiding by the law enforcement code of ethics.
I recognize the badge of my
I
office
recognize the badge of my office
as a symbol of public faith,
as a symbol of public faith,
and I accept it as a public trust
and I accept it as a public trust
to be held and honored.
to be held and honored.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome aboard.
Thank you.
I'm gonna come pin them?
Yeah.
All right. And then I'm gonna need your John Hancock,
Yes, ma'am.
another color.
Well, I said I practiced it, not anywhere.
Did they cut?
What?
Don't mess it up.
I'm messing it up this time. It's not. There you go.
Good? All right, thank you.
Good.
Okay.
It's not the who's who, it's the who's on.
Yeah.
All right, the next item on our agenda for tonight is item number 3, the city manager's report. Good evening, Ms. Yackley.
Good evening. Okay. So good evening, everyone. First thing up is the Olivet Business Awards. This is our second year doing it. So we encourage everybody to go online and you can nominate up to 3 businesses and 3 restaurants in the city of Olivet. And I think we're running this through March. Yeah, through the end of March. So if you have not already done so, please nominate your favorite business and restaurant. The award winners will be honored at the May Creve Coeur and Olivet Chamber luncheon. Next is the Citizens Police Academy. This is starting March 5th. If you are interested in learning about what police officers do in their daily jobs, this is a great opportunity to do that. This is a cooperative effort between the city of Olivet and neighboring police departments. So if you are interested, please fill out an application. You can follow the QR code or the link down below. Do not be concerned. You will be taken to the City of Creve Coeur page. They are managing applications for this cooperative endeavor. We have 3 commission seats that are open, and so we are sending the word out to all of our residents who may be interested. So we have an opening on the Economic Development Commission, an opening on the Parks and Recreation Commission, and then an opening on the Planning and Community Design Commission. And for that particular opening, the city is looking for either an architect or a landscape architect. So the deadline to apply is March 14th. You can certainly find out more using the QR code. There's also a link in this week's Olivet Weekly. And so we ask anybody that is interested to please apply and let us know. You may see some folks out and about on Price Road between Old Bonham and Del Mar. These are surveyors for TWM Inc. They are getting data as to the location of the street and the sidewalks and the curbs. This is related to the STP application that Bruce brought forward a couple weeks ago and we applied for in order to do road work on that section of North Price between Old Bonham Road and Del Mar. We are going for a grant, but we have decided to do the survey work earlier, whether we get the grant or not, because it is information we will need. So if you want to know more about the project, you're welcome to look online or use the QR code to find out more. And that brings me to the Olivet Weekly. This is a great e-newsletter that comes out every Monday. It has a variety of things that are going on in the city of Olivet that week. So unless there have any questions, that's all I have.
Does anybody have any questions of the city manager? All right, thank you so much for your report. We will move on to item number 4, staff reports.
All right, moving on. Well, these are your upcoming meetings. The only meeting of note is that the March 20th Planning and Community Design Commission meeting has been canceled. That coincides with the Ladue School District spring break. And so there are a number of commissioners that will be gone. So they've canceled that meeting. The fire department has been doing some training. It is VEST training, violent encounter survival training, specifically for EMS folks to handle violent situations that they may encounter. And so it is appropriate techniques to either de-escalate the situation or if they need to go hands-on with individuals. So each of the crews received this training in our community rooms last month and this month. Parks and Rec, they have a number of things going on. First and foremost is Camp 5 Oaks. So Camp O has been revamped and rethought, and it is now Camp 5 Oaks. It will be at 5 Oaks. Registration is open, and so we certainly would like to see as many youngsters at Camp 5 Oaks as possible this year. The parks crew has been removing the fence along the top lot in Stacy Park. They will be reusing portions of those fence panels, and they have been taking the fence down along portions of the perimeter of Stacy Park, as was outlined in the fence removal plan a number of years ago. They are keeping the fence along that residential along the southern portion, so that is staying, but in other areas they are removing that fence. And then lastly, that last picture is the first Chinese Lunar New Year that was celebrated up at 5 Oaks. There was wonderful attendance, and it is certainly something that we are hoping to do every year. So if you had an opportunity to attend that event, it was a great time. The planning department. The planning department has been very busy, and I just wanted to show this. We all see the very visual projects, right? So Great Heart Brewing, the Irvington Rhyme Apartments, the TIF projects, all of those things. But I did want to just note that there are a number of interior renovations this year and then accessory structures. So we're showing that property owners really are reinvesting in their properties throughout the city. And so we just wanted to bring that to your attention, that not only do they do the big projects, the new houses, the giant additions, but they're also doing a number of interior and accessory structures this year. Coffee with a Cop was earlier this month, and they had a really good turnout. And they had a young lady who wanted to take their picture with her. So it is something that they do on a pretty regular basis. This month they happened to be up at Revo Cup, so they had a good turnout and got to speak to some community members about concerns that they may have, or just wanted to chat with members of law enforcement. Public Works, yet again, it snowed over President's Day weekend, and Public Works was out and about spreading salt. And then, of course, that snow and the thaw that is currently happening is impacting the ability of the Centennial Greenway to do that last little bit of grading that they need to do. But we expect that it will eventually dry out and they'll be able to do that grading. And we are scheduling the grand opening event for that section of the Greenway Trail on May 3rd at Warson Park. So we would certainly invite the community to come out that day. And that is all I have, unless you have any questions. Okay.
All right, thank you so much for that report. Next on the item, we have the monthly financial report for January 2025. Mr. Mann, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. In front of us tonight, we have this will be a 7-month look from our July up until the end of January. And not a whole lot of updates to report, like kind of a summary of what we go through every month. General fund revenues below expectations, 787,000. Expenditures below by about 47,000. So for net unfavorable variance of $740,000. One note before we get any much further, our debt service payments are reflected here. We have debt service payments in the debt service and construction fund, which is for this building, and then the Parks and Five Oaks, those improvements. That's in that fund. We have a NID debt service and then North Price NID debt service. So we have those reflected, and there's some kind of big cash outflows for us. Those cash outflows are paid for by assessments in the NIDs, and then of course property taxes that all home and business owners pay. So if we look at our reserve policy there in the table, you can see that we're well within that reserve policy by nearly 3 million, which again is 50% of our FY25, our current fiscal year's expenditures per budget. Sales tax category, not much update there. It still is in it's pretty significant negative territory, but it has stabilized over the last 3 or 4 months. So that's important as we enter our budgeting season, is that we kind of had to have a handle on where our sales taxes will be. We'll look at a chart here in a second, and you can see why it's a little easier to tell. Property taxes, they're behind right now, 400,000 or 500,000. And that's because of some timing of some snow and some processing woes at the county. We'll see that catch up in February. We could receive 2 very large payments from the county in February. Then I guess another thing to note here, we have our first significant looking forward into February, again, because some of that timing of the processing woes, is we'll see our first significant pilots, which is payments in lieu of taxes at the TIF. And that's because the Clover entered the tax rolls. I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of $450,000. So we'll see that next month. Utility taxes remain mixed overall, but stable, and that's not something we've been able to say in many of the 10 years that I've been here, that those utility taxes are stable right where we thought they would be in meeting budget expectations. Parks and Rec revenues, they do remain behind, but we did see some catch up into January. Stabilization and all these are, very important as we enter budgeting. Let's go to the next page here. We're the orange chart. or sorry, the orange line there at the bottom, you can see that's not terribly hard to predict for budgeting, which is good for budgeting. I wish it was a little higher, of course. We're expecting to see an uptick in a couple months with the Aldi opening in February. We can expect to see half of those. Once we exceed the base of the TIF, we'll see half of those revenues from the different sources. This is just the 1% sales tax that goes to county. So we'll see a little bit of a bump there. And that's good news. Overall, what we're going to see in the next couple months, probably these revenues, I would suspect, will remain stable. We will be talking about budgets in the next several months. And with revenues stable, that's good. We're going to, of course, see what we can do about increasing some of that stuff. But so I will say one thing. Well, if we go down, let's go down one page. Good, you can see here, there's kind of summarized by our revenue sources, these categories. I wanted to say this on the permits revenue, which is in the white, the third from the bottom. We see that negative 78,000. And that goes directly against what we just saw with all these great big, large numbers of permits that was on that chart. And that negative variance is just in the commercial property or the commercial permit line item. And so that's further down if you want to go into it. But there is a reason why it's in there, and it's just down the road. You can see that there's not much being built, and we had counted on things being built at Olive and 170. So that's commercial building permits are large when they come in, but you don't get very many of them in a fully built community like ours. So that would conclude the report up to January. More than happy to answer any questions.
Does anybody have any questions of Mr. Mann? None at this time? All right,
Thank you.
thank you, sir. We kind of know why things are slow, and we'll see how it goes as the spring's eternal. All right, next item are city council reports. I'm going to look to my right, which is to your left as you're watching this video. And I will go to my fellow Councilmember Weil. Good evening.
Good evening. Last week I attended the Parks meeting and there was a very thorough conversation and annual report of the Olivet Youth Sports Leagues. It was really excellent. It was very in-depth. They talked about the philosophy, the objectives, and the guidelines for the coaches, the philosophy and the objectives of the program, and then the guidelines for the coaches is a separate piece. With the coaches, they really tried to enhance that program by offering some trainings this year, workshops, communications, and expectations. I apologize, I should have started with who presented. The presenters were Hannah Simorka, did I say that right, Bev? Simorka and Christoph Weigel. And the two of them are Hannah is the recreational supervisor, sports supervisor, and Christoph is the recreational coordinator of sports and all the different leagues that we have. So they gave us an overview of the differentiation between the micro sports, which is basically the pre-K or the young ones, and they come for 6 weeks. And then we went into, and that's the pre-kindergarten. And then they discussed the kindergarten through 2nd grade, which is its own division. And each of those teams in kindergarten is co-ed, but once they hit 1st grade, then they break off into girls teams and boys teams for each age group. The kindergarten through 5th grade teams are 8 weeks, and that includes their practice, their uniforms, everything. And so they did some really interesting comparisons, and it just shows how the program has grown over the years, but especially even in this last year. For soccer, we went from 2023 in soccer to 2024 this past fall. We went from 619 to 702. In baseball, we went, we haven't done baseball. In basketball, we almost doubled. We went from 403 participants to 720. And then for baseball, we had 333 last summer, and we are in the process right now of registration for that. We're partnering with Ladue now, the Ladue School District, and they shared a breakdown of the responsibilities with that, since this is something new. They also are offering some sports camps. A Skyhawks Youth Volleyball Camp is going to be offered in March, Monday through Thursdays in the evenings for Challenger, and then we're also having the Challenger program for Challenger Soccer. It's a summer camp. It will be offered in the mornings and in the evenings or late afternoons. And that is summer, a soccer camp towards the beginning of this, and then a soccer camp towards the beginning of this season. They shared the community feedback with the program, and the feedback basically is to avoid holidays and school breaks, and because it's hard getting everyone on the fields for practices before sunset, they've requested that they start the practices earlier. We also had a discussion that won't come in front of us as a council for a while, but we had a discussion about the e-bikes, and there was input because as you see when you walk through the city or when you're in the parks, it's younger and younger students. It's not just the middle school and high school kids that are just flying down the sidewalks and everything. And so we went through some of the recommendations and some of the research and got educated a little bit. There was a really good discussion led by Beverly Tucker Knight. And the next step is that she'll be meeting with Chief Andruski. And once they discuss some code changes, they will bring that back to the Parks Commission. So, and then the Parks Commission will prepare something that will come back to us. So it's going to be a couple months in the making at least, but it is a big concern of the Parks Commission and a high priority. So that was discussed at length. And then the Five Oaks update that we get each month, we got 198 more new members in the past month, and 70% were residents. And the total number of households is 1,499. So if anyone in this room isn't a member yet, join so we can cross over to 1,500, which it probably has happened since our meeting last Wednesday. So are there any questions?
Thank you for that report.
Mike was there as well?
Go ahead, Mike.
Or
Go ahead.
Councilmember,
Councilmember
Solomon.
Solomonov, go
I
ahead.
got to work on this.
Yeah, no other
Solomon.
updates.
Did I
Yeah.
cover all the bases?
I think
Okay,
you got it all.
great.
Y'all been doing a great job on that board. You're an excellent liaison to that board, Maxine. And yeah, I already bought mine in January, so I can't say tomorrow I'll tip it to 1,500. All right. And kudos again to the Parks Department and the Parks Director for everything and to enhance our services and our fun that we provide to the community of all ages. All right, I will move to my fellow council member pro tem, Mr. Knox.
The only thing that I would like to I attended coffee with the mayor last week, and St. Louis County Councilwoman Gretchen Banger was the guest speaker, and she was had a lot of knowledge and a lot of stuff she passed down to the residents of Olivet, and she's more than willing to come back and do this again in the future. But there was a lot of information. It was very well attended. There's a lot of questions asked of her, and I thought it was a good one. And I didn't want to steal any of your thunder, but
Take it,
that's all I have.
take it. All right, thank you so much. I will go to my left here, right? Councilmember Clark.
I have nothing to report at this time.
All right. Councilmember Solomonov.
Nothing yet.
All right.
Coming
looking-
soon.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. All right. And for me, I attended the latest Planning Community Design Commission meeting, and there are 3 items that are on our agenda tonight. So obviously, Planning Community Design Commission recommended the items that we will see today for first reading, with regard to auto beauty specialist, and text amendment to certain properties loaned light industrial for multiple signage, and the tax amendment to the 425 community design regulations to revise the submittal requirements and review procedures for residential improvements. So those are on the agenda tonight. I'm not going to go deeper into that conversation, additional conversations with regard to tree preservation under new construction, and conversation to down the road, enhance that conversation beyond just new construction. So that's kind of the summary with regards to the Planning and Community Design Commission. And as you all heard, the March 20th meeting will not be held. It will be spring break for the Ladue school system. With that, I will allow us to move on.
Madam Mayor, I want to add one thing.
Sure, go ahead.
I forgot to say that, because it is coming up soon, I can't believe it's March 1st, but on March 15th will be the Holy Festival. And it's at Stacy Park, and for those that haven't been, it's the Color Festival, and it's really impressive, and it's exciting, and come early, and if you can walk. Do not drive, because it's a mob scene.
Can I add a note to that? Make sure if you do come, don't wear clothes that you believe me. I got a lot of that stuff on and it never washed out. So if they say it washes out easily, that's a lie. So bring some clothes you don't mind messing up.
Yeah, as long as you just get a little bit of powder, it comes out. When you really go for dousing all day with everybody, yeah, it sticks around, but okay, I'm a hippie. It looks a little bit like tie-dye, so it still looks good. All right, and the money and the cause goes for good purposes and good spirits and good vibes for the year. All righty. Next on the agenda is number 7, which is hearing from citizens. I do see one individual that I know is a resident. The other one I know is waiting for an agenda item. And there is one individual in our audience. Do anyone want to speak with hearing from citizens? Part 1, please raise your hand or come up to the podium. All right, then we will move forward on to item number 8. Madam Clerk.
Item number 8, Bill 3040, an ordinance to amend Ordinance 2565, an ordinance to authorize the issuance of a special permit use to auto beauty specialists to operate an automobile collision repair facility at the property addressed as 1223 North Price Road to include 28,000 square feet of lower-level indoor warehouse storage space at the property address 1220 North Price Road for the storage of vehicles awaiting repair and the storage of vehicle parts. First reading.
All right, this is the first reading. Mr. Trejo, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Carlos Trejo. I'm the Director of Planning and Community Development for the City of Olivet. And tonight is just the first reading of Bill 3040, which is an amendment to an ordinance 2565 that was issued to auto beauty specialists at 1223 North Price. We do have a representative online. This item will be before you again at your next meeting. I believe it's March 11th, in which we will conduct a public hearing and go through a formal presentation. At this point, Mayor, if there are any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. But tonight is just for a first
Does
reading.
council have any questions at this time? All right, and I do want to just identify that this business and sustainability is a water-based paint business. This is not solvent. My father worked in the solvent industry. It's very, very dangerous. And so, when we look at businesses, this is one that is extremely well and sustainable using water. So kudos, and we will see you next time. See you, Nick. Have a good one.
Thank you, Mayor.
All righty. Next item, Madam Clerk, item number 9.
Item number 9, Bill 3041, an ordinance to amend Article 8, permitted signs in the industrial LID district of Chapter 415 sign regulations, being part of Title 4 land use of the Olivet Municipal Code. First reading.
Good evening, Mayor, and good evening, Council.
Good evening, Jack. How are you?
Good, how are you?
All right, you have
I've-
the floor.
I'm Jack Carswell. I'm the Planning and Zoning Administrator for the City of Olivet. So before you tonight, it's just the text amendment for the permitted signs within the industrial light or the light industrial district within the Chapter 415 sign regulations to allow for additional monument signs. We'll have a presentation ready for the March 11th meeting, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Does anyone have any questions of Mr. Caswell? All right, this isn't pertaining to Carrollton Bank, who has moved their corporate offices or is going to be moving them into our community. So thank you so much, and we'll see them in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Item number 10, Madam Clerk.
Item number 10, Bill 3042, an ordinance to amend Section 425.040 submittal requirements and Section 425.050 review procedure, single-family residential structures of Article 1 Community Design Regulations, being part of Chapter 425 Community Design, General of Title IV Land Use of the Olivet Municipal Code. First reading.
Mr. Trejo.
Good evening, Mayor. Again, my name's Carlos Trejo. I'm with the City of Olivet, Planning and Community Development Director. Tonight is an amendment, a text amendment to Chapter 425, our Community Design Regulations, the general regulations. This amendment would amend two sections. One are submittal requirements to require the submission of a tree protection, preservation, and replacement plan and a landscape plan. Those two currently are not required or called out by code. Second, it would extend the review period for staff to issue comments from 10 days to 15 days. That request, as we've expanded our review process with stormwater and now looking to do more consistent reviews with tree preservation. The additional time would be warranted to conduct those thoroughly. Be glad to answer any questions. This will be a more formal presentation at your public hearing on March 11th, and that's all I have.
Does anybody have any questions of Mr. Trejo? All right, thank you. You'll be
Thank you,
busy at our next council meeting. Look forward to it. All right, item number 11, Madam Clerk.
Item 11, Resolution 2025-256, authorizing the sale of surplus tasers to an authorized resale company.
Good evening, how are you?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council. Some papers here. The Olivet Police Department replaces our tasers every 5 years, and based on manufacturer warranty, there are currently 24 tasers in our surplus and in the police department inventory with a sellback value of approximately $2,000 to $2,400. We are requesting approval for Resolution 2025-256 to authorize Olivet Police Department to sell the 24 tasers to an authorized resale company. And I'm here for any questions you might have.
Does anyone have any questions with regard to this matter? If not, I will entertain action on your screen.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make the motion to approve resolution 2025-256 to authorize the Olivet Police Department to sell 24 surplus tasers to an authorized resale company.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Please poll the council.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Weil, Councilmember Solomonov,
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Knox,
Yes.
Mayor Waldman,
Yes.
motion is passed.
We will now move on to item number 12, hazardous moving violation grant.
I'm up.
Madam-
Me again.
Mhm, okay.
The Olivet Police Department is requesting the city of Olivet to enter in an enforcement contract with the Missouri Department of Transportation for the 2025-2026 traffic enforcement period. The grant being requested is for the enforcement of hazardous moving violations. The Department of Transportation, in order to fund officer overtime pay, specifically for the purpose of stopping and citing aggressive drivers in our community. We request a motion to authorize the city to enter into one traffic grant contract with the Department of Transportation, namely hazardous moving violations.
Does anybody have any questions? This is a yearly a grant that we've done. But does anyone have any questions? Go ahead.
Major Barry, the only question I have, I'm familiar with these grants.
Yes, sir.
But is this distractive driving, is that all part of hazard?
is, yes, it's a stoppable offense.
Pardon?
The hands-free driving is an
Right.
unstoppable offense, yeah.
It is,
So
yeah.
officers during the grant can't stop for that as well. Speeding, other violations.
Okay, that's all I have. I knew that it came into
Yeah,
law,
it's,
state law.
it passed, it's already passed its,
Right.
non-issuing period, so.
And is that gonna have to come before the council?
That's a great question. I don't know if we're just doing state on that or we're gonna have our own. I do
Yeah,
not know. We do
that's-
have a distracted not for driving, but it's not,
It doesn't include
just-
that yet.
yeah, but it's just distracted driving.
Okay. Thank you.
I think it was passed August 28th of 2024 and implemented January 1 with regards to no touch.
Actually, it was a couple of years ago. But they had a period of about a year where no tickets could be issued for it, just warnings only. And so January the 1st, it went into effect where people could actually get a ticket for it. So right now, there is language in the bill that was passed a couple of years ago that said that the state is preempting all other laws regarding the use of the hands-free devices. And so there's been a lot of talk about, well, would that prevent then an ordinance that would allow enforcement in the municipal court so that you wouldn't have to go state? So that's still an open question. And it's my understanding that the legislature hopes to address that and answer that question during this legislative session. So that's really what I'm waiting for. And so I would suggest that we just hold off and see how that plays out and then address whether we would need an ordinance for local enforcement.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for
Thank
that. All right, with that, we have recommended action in front of us. I will entertain that.
Madam Mayor, I recommend a motion to authorize the city of Olivet to enter into a one traffic enforcement grant with the Missouri Department of Transportation, namely hazardous moving violations.
It's been moved to have a second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. If there's no additional questions, please poll the council.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Weil,
Yeah.
Councilmember Solomonov,
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Knox,
Yes,
Mayor Waldman,
Yes,
motion is passed.
thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Council.
Take care, be safe. We're going to go on to item number 13, which is the auditor selection for the fiscal year 2025. Madam Clerk?
Selection of financial statement audit firm for the year ended June 30th, 2025.
Good evening once again, Mayor and Council. In front of us right now have a request for an approval to approve a contract for a 3-year term, I guess for a 1-year term with 2 1-year renewals, as long as it's amicable for performance with UHY. And if you remember from our work session in early January, UHY acquired Bott Steel and Company, which was so we won't have a change in auditors, just a change in name. We did release RFP for about 4 to 5 weeks and did receive 3 bids, fairly competitive and had lots of inquiries and about 3 responses. So I'm happy with that. People are interested in it, but then price wise, and I'm more than happy with what we've received from Bott Steel and now with UHY, same folks. So more than happy to answer any questions or take a look at further.
Does anybody have any questions of Mr. Mann? Mr. Mann, I do have one question, and it really just stems with history and the historical history of like the last 3 years, where it was really difficult for cities and municipalities to find auditors willing to do auditing for those communities. I don't know whether the pandemic and the other governmental stuff was that factor, but is that getting better again for municipalities being able to have, the access to a good auditor?
Sure. If you go down to we'll go down to the memo there, you can see the price. Well, you can't really see them really great, but I was a little worried. If we read them across that first one, I was a little worried we'd get about that $50,000 is what was with Sickich. So what that means, we're about 2 people away from facing those same woes. I mean, if Kerber, Eck and Breckle and Blatstew, if they're more interested, or we may see this with UHY. It's a national company. They may realize different value. That's what Sickich was. They were acquired by another smaller firm. So I don't think that'll probably go away. Maybe something we'll be facing in 2 to 3 years. We're a little bit of a unique market here in St. Louis with so many smaller cities. This is not something you'd see, without that being there.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, we're lucky.
We truly are very lucky. Go ahead.
Yeah, question for you. So for these contracts, I see there's an optional renewal for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Are we able to lock in a price with them?
That's what yep. Now, you did hear stories during that same time period of audit firms coming back and saying, we're not interested in doing it for that
Even
price.
with the contract?
Yes. Yep. And they're kind of open-ended contracts of, we're not willing to do it for this or for that. Yes. And it comes down to a little bit of, they're not, if they're short on money, they short the time that they give it, and that's not ethically responsible for them to do a full audit with that. That's kind of the basis of it. Yep. And they are with 1-year renewals. It's not necessarily a locked-in rate. We've never had any issue with them honoring these prices though. So I hope that continues.
Thanks.
And a little trivia, Mr. Mann came from auditing.
Hmm.
So we're blessed.
place, too.
We have a great.
That
team.
does help. I mean, honestly, it does help to have people here that
Yes.
they know and trust, and with processes that nothing's going to blow up in the meantime.
Yes.
That makes them comfortable to
Yes,
bid these
yes.
numbers too.
All right. So we'll scroll back down to the front page and I will reflect if there are recommendation actions up there. I will entertain that action.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve city manager to sign an agreement with UHY LLP to provide audit services for the fiscal year ended June 2025 with option to renew the agreement for the subsequent years ending June 30th, 2026 through June 30th, 2027 on an annual basis.
Second.
I had moved and seconded. If there's no additional questions, please poll the council.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Weil,
Yes.
Councilmember Solomonov,
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Knox,
Yes.
Mayor Waldman,
Yes,
motion is passed.
thank you so much. We will now move on to item number 14, agreement for medical control services. Good evening, Chief. I'm gonna assume that's you. All right, Madam Clerk, is there anything you need to read before? All right, thank you much. You
Good
have the
evening,
floor.
Ms. Yackley, Madam Mayor, City Council, Steve Carmen, Fire Chief for City of Olivet Fire Department. The City of Olivet Fire Department is requesting approval to enter into an agreement with SSM Healthcare St. Louis for medical control services for our EMS division. Medical control is a critical component of emergency medical services and ensuring that paramedics operate under the supervision and guidance of a qualified medical director to provide the highest standard of care. SSM Healthcare St. Louis has a proven track record of excellence in emergency medical oversight and will provide our paramedics with the necessary protocols, training, and real-time consultation to enhance patient outcomes. Partnering with SSM will help ensure that our medical services remain compliant with state regulations and align with best practices in pre-hospital care. I recommend that the City Council approve this agreement to strengthen our EMS operations and maintain the highest level of emergency medical care for our community. If you have any questions, I can answer questions.
Does anybody have any questions of the chief? All right, then. Go ahead.
I do.
Okay.
Chief, I only have one question. I know our medical director used to be out of St. John's Mercy. And we used to take a lot of patients there, a lot of
Yes.
residents, a lot of people who are involved in auto accidents. Do they, and I know we can go to different places.
Yes.
I've been to Missouri Baptist and several others.
Yes.
Is that going to be the same way now? That's not going to change?
Yes, the patient gets to pick what hospital they want to go to regardless of who our medical control is. Medical control doesn't have any say per se where the patient wants to go. The only other thing that may change that is if a patient is severely traumatized or something like that, we take them to a level 1 trauma center, which would be a Mercy.
Okay.
But yes, with SSM, the other thing I was going to mention too is this is temporary because Dr. Schaefer has passed and they have now hired for an interim term a company to supply that medical director for us. The other medical director, she will not start until sometime in April. Unfortunately, our EMS license is due for our ambulance, so we have to have a signed medical agreement, a medical director agreement before they'll renew our license. So that's why this is kind of a timing thing. It's not pretty, but it's what it is.
Okay.
So
And,
you will see this agreement again when we get when SSM brings the new director on. You'll
Yes.
see the agreement again with an amendment to it.
so for the recommended, we do have recommended action tonight.
Correct. You need to recommend that the city be authorized to enter into an agreement.
Okay. Madam Mayor, or
Is there anybody else that has any questions? Okay, go ahead.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to authorize the city of Olivet to enter into an agreement with SSM Healthcare of St. Louis for medical control services.
Moved. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, if there's no further questions, please poll the council.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Weil,
Yes.
Councilmember Solomonov,
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Knox,
Yes.
Mayor Waldman,
Yes,
motion is passed.
thank you.
Thank you for your
Chief.
time.
Thank you, Chief.
Be safe. We'll move on to item number 15, the water dog purchase approval. Good evening, Ms. Beverly Tucker Knight. The floor is yours.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council, Beverly Tucker Knight, Parks and Recreation Director. This evening, we have a request before you to purchase a new water dog trailer for our park operations. This is an item that was budgeted through our capital program this year, and it is a portable water trailer that allows us to water all of the inaccessible areas of the park. Currently, we use either an old trailer or the back of the truck, and we've cobbled together something that's, if you've ever driven something with a lot of water, you can imagine when you brake, the water shifts in the back of the truck, and it's very disconcerting. And also, maybe not the safest thing we could be doing on the roads. So this is a purpose-built trailer that's actually called the Municipal Special. It's designed specifically for municipal park operations, and it has everything contained on it. It's a much safer operation. It's much safer for our staff to be using it, and it's more compact. So when we are taking over all of the new maintenance along the greenway, all of our habitat restoration areas, all of those young plants, we have to water consistently for the first couple of years to get them established. Then once they're established, they need a lot less care unless there's a drought. So this will really help our horticulturalist, and then even because it is a safer operation, volunteers can assist us more with this as well. So this evening, we are asking for approval to purchase it fully. The full program is $11,935. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
I have a question.
Yes.
So what's gonna pull it?
The truck. So there's actually a picture. There we go. So you see it has a hitch on it. So it'll hitch up to our trucks. And we can also use a slightly smaller truck than we currently do as well.
Okay,
And the-
because I'm thinking of the pathway on Huron where you've got the smaller vehicle that goes through there. Is that what would be able to pull that?
Well, the Centennial Greenway is 12 feet wide, so we will be able to pull this on it, no problem. And
Okay.
and through most of the park pathways as well.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for that. Does anyone else have any questions of Ms. Tucker Knight? Go ahead.
I'm trying to get all my stuff in before the end of my term.
Yes.
Uh,
Ask away.
This is a water dog
Yes.
and the breed is, What
Well,
dog? Is there a name? I know all these
Yeah,
dogs
yeah.
and they have names. My
Well, it's
dog has.
interesting you say that because the city manager and I were discussing that earlier because this is not the largest water dog you can get. So this would probably be more along the lines of maybe a small Labrador because they do have Great Danes. They have Tibetan Mastiffs
How
that you
about a
can get.
golden doodle named Jasper?
Oh, well, Jasper we'd love to have him be a mascot for this, but he's it's a little bigger than Jasper.
Okay.
Yeah. This is quite a bit bigger than Snoopy. Snoopy's a beagle, so Jasper's bigger than Snoopy, so. Yeah.
Okay, that's all I have.
Excellent question.
Little bit of humor here. All righty, so with that, there is a recommended action in front of us on the screen. I will entertain that motion.
I'd like to make the motion to authorize the purchase of a water dog not to exceed $11,935.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Moved and seconded, please poll the council.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Weil,
Yes.
Councilmember Solomonov,
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Knox,
yes.
Mayor Waldman,
Yes,
motion is passed.
thank you so much.
Thank you
Next-
very much.
Thank you. The next item is item number 16, which is the part 2, hearing from citizens. We have one resident in the audience and we have one resident online. Do either one of you wish to raise your hand or come up to the podium for hearing from citizens part 2? All right, with that, we will move forward to item number 17, which is review and acceptance of the meeting minutes of the council from February 11, 2025. Did anybody see anything that they felt needed corrections? I did not either. With that, we will entertain an acknowledgement to the council meeting minutes. I'll take that motion.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes from February 11th, 2025.
Second.
Moved and seconded to accept the meeting minutes of February 11th, 2025 as written. Please poll the council.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Weil,
Yes.
Councilmember Solomonov,
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Knox,
Yes.
Mayor Waldman,
Yes.
motion is passed.
Thank you so much. All right, lucky 18, item 18. This is the city attorney's report. Mrs. Carr, how are you?
Good, how are you?
All righty.
I have no report this evening.
All right, you gave us a bit of information
But
earlier.
we do need a closed session.
That's number 19. Gotcha. All right, we'll go on to item number 19, which is executive session. In our agenda, it identifies that we will be going to an executive session pursuant to revised statutes of the state of Missouri. The 610 codes are underneath that, and I will entertain a motion to go into executive session pursuant to those 2 codes. I'll take that motion.
I'll make a motion for an executive closed session pursuant to the revised statute of the state of Missouri to discuss attorney-client privilege matters pursuant to 610.0221.1 and 610.0221.3.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded. Please poll the council individually.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Weil,
Yes.
Councilmember Solomonov,
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Knox,
yes.
Mayor Waldman,
Yes.
motion is passed.
All right, this council will proceed to executive session and we will put this meeting on. City council is back from executive session. No decisions or votes were taken. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All right, motion adjourned and seconded. 8:46.